Yeah, it always rankles me a little bit when I do one of the coolest songs in music history, uh, "Build Me a Buttercup." On a day I don't want to talk about, uh, I'm not going to be talking about happy things. But anyway, here we are. Welcome to Scary Alvarez podcast. I'm of course Scary Alvarez. We're going to do one of our skull sessions here, uh, the Alabama Hangover edition. I guess I'll call it. Going to be a quick hitter today, and thanks for joining me. I'd like to remind you at the top of things, please subscribe if you like. That's fine. That doesn't do a whole lot for me either way. I always appreciate it, but subscribing does matter because the way YouTube does is their algorithm is you can have the bangingest show ever. I could have Ron Dane on, and I could get buried, you know, like a 2 minute sarcophagus on their algorithms, just because that's the way it is. So it always helps to get that engagement. So thanks for doing that. Appreciate it. A little scary appreciates it. Alabama. That was fun, huh? Um, gonna hit a few things here that I observed and have observed since the game ended. Of course, it was a pretty resounding 42-10 Alabama win. Nothing fluky about it. Yeah, 3-0 lead, and then it was off to the races for Jalen Milroe and crew. Um, First of all, an observation. I've heard a few other people say this, but doesn't make it any less true for me. Um, Almost a consensus of Wisconsin fans and Wisconsin media predicted a robust, if not blowout, Alabama win in this game. And then, alas, Alabama won in a robust fashion. I mean, there were some moments that Wisconsin could have cut the lead and made it more respectable. And certainly losing Tyler Van Dyke on drive one did not help the cause. But suffice to say, the result pretty much went the way that people had predicted it was going to go. Yet, there was still this kind of, I considered it odd, and it's not to insult anyone. You can feel how you feel, but this kind of odd outpouring of what the hell just happened? How did that happen? We just got run. We just got rolled at home by Alabama. Oh, it's not Wisconsin football. Okay, yeah, I understand the frustration, but you said it was going to happen, knowing the state of affairs for the Badgers in terms of talent and otherwise, how good Alabama was, and otherwise, how beating Alabama is almost impossible most seasons. And oh, Saban's gone. It's not Alabama. No, they just got the national coach of the year last year, who was in the championship game. I don't think that's a huge drop off. Sorry, Kellen DeBoer is obviously a fine coach, but yeah, this is just a weird, and again, maybe it's just basic psychology. Uh, you're never going to get used to Wisconsin getting rolled at home. We've been used to too many years of a successful, talented program, and yes, maybe the heights have not been hit as high as people want them to in terms of championships and things like that. We get it. But Wisconsin's been an incredibly consistent program going back 30 plus years. And so to see things like this, but as I reminded people, there were blowouts with some regular Paul Chris watch going towards the end of his thing. And yes, that didn't end up great and people were not happy about it. But this is going to get cut towards the next point that I'm going to make in just a second is this kind of whitewashing how far Wisconsin had fallen before Luke Fickle came on. But anyway, yeah. So this isn't an indictment. I'm just saying it was an curious for me to observe how people were acting surprised at what happened yesterday when it is exactly what they predicted was going to happen. It's just a very odd dynamic for me. And if this is you, I'm not saying you're a bad person or a bad sports fan. I'm just saying maybe take a step back and ask yourself why it happened that way. Okay, I teased it. Chris Leonard revisionism. I'm going to start out from the very beginning here. I am a Paul Chris fan. Anyone who has followed my account, I started in 2014, late 2014, right before Chris got hired, knows without any hesitation or equivocation that I have been a Paul Chris supporter. The fact that I've gotten called out for it and called a homer and blah, 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 blah. When Paul Chris, after the Illinois loss in 2022, was relieved of his duties by McIntosh, and the things that have happened since then, including him not being a head coach or even offensive coordinator at any school since then, it was pretty clear that he had slid at some level, whether his passion was reduced or I don't know what was going on. But the Wisconsin program was not in a good place in October of 2022 when Chris was fired. It just wasn't. The recruiting was not going well. It was becoming kind of like an onboard ramp for former Wisconsin players as far as coaching and things like it just wasn't the recipe for success wasn't strong. Jimmy Leonard, again, another guy that I respect and think is a incredibly good defensive mind. He's biding his time with the Broncos this year. Um, there was very little that can convince me that he was going to come in and start recruiting at a high level, and it certainly was a coin flip what was going to happen with that program. So when Luke Fickle was offered and accepted the job in November of 2022, I don't have any statistics on this, just my observations of what I was seeing on social media. But I would hazard a guess that it was a 90% plus, "Oh my god, this is freaking amazing," from Wisconsin fans and media on this and other platforms, social media, everywhere. Fast forward less than 2 years, and there have definitely been some downs, and things have not gone to plan the way we wanted it to. The offense has never looked great under Longo, with the exception of one half against LSU in a meaningless bowl game, or close to meaningless. Um, with this whole, like, Fick's done, Fick's cooked, he's not the guy, he's Scott Frost. Remember the good old days with Leonard, he would have been great, or the good old days with Chris, we need more patience. Are you listening to yourselves? It's so disingenuous. Okay, let me back up before I get sound mean. It's okay to change your mind on Luke Fickle. We can quibble about whether you should or shouldn't, but if you had a feeling about someone and 2 years of and 16 games later you have a different feeling, that is okay. I'm not going to give you a hard time for that. That is your right, and there's certainly ammunition for you to feel that way. That's fine. It's not the way I feel, okay, but it's the way you can feel. That's fine, and you don't need me to tell you that. What I do not abide is people who were, oh God, oh Chris, oh Leonard, I don't know. Fickle, yeah, boy. Now going, oh man, things were great under Fickle, under Chris, or would have been great under Leonard. You can't have that both ways. That's just BS. So if you were a pro Fick guy and an anti Chris Leonard guy, and you are now talking like Wisconsin made a mistake and they should have stuck with Leonard or Christ. Just GTFO. I mean, have some cope mechanism in your life. I'm sorry, I'm not, that sounds mean, but like it's the worst kind of fan. Taking a position and sticking with it. The never fix. I have a great number of issues with the never fix. But if you have stuck with it, Real Red Shed and some of these other accounts, and you've stuck with it the whole way, at least you've been consistent. I can live with that. Okay. But this change in now and revisionist history, and Leonard would have had the program cooking great when the guy wasn't a recruiter, and it would have been Fickle's stable of recruiting talent for 23 or 24 and 25 has very, very good signs for the future of this program, but it's going to take a little more time. You don't have to like Longo. He's not doing well. He's on the clock as far as I'm concerned. But just don't tell me that things were okay before he took over, because they were not okay before Fickle took over. Gonna finish this up real quick. I go a little longer than I want to do on that, but basically the things that yesterday was, and again, it's very sorry to Tyler Van Dyke. That is a horrible story, and we have all the nothing but sympathy and prayers up for him for his future. Hopefully, that still was able to pan out the way he wanted it to. But that you can understand losing him was a gigantic deal yesterday. I don't think there's any way it would have been 42-10 if he had played the whole game. I don't think we are going to beat Bama, but as I said many times. But heal up, Tyler. But basically, the cap on this is that just showed where we are against elite teams. There was nothing shocking about that game yesterday, really. Alabama is that much better than Wisconsin right now. That's where we are in the NIL era. It's where we were a little bit before, although it's worse than it was now. We don't have the dudes to beat Alabama. We just don't have them. Okay, you can say, "Oh, the coaching was bad, blah blah blah." Okay, I mean, you can say that. Maybe we don't have the coaches to beat Bama, but ultimately, the talent on the field was just that wasn't going to happen yesterday. It's where we are. So the hope is Fick gets some of his guys in here. These rosters fill out with these strong, fast, highly recruited guys, and things start turning around. That's where we are. Uh, and I'm very hopeful that there's a plan there, a plan which may or may not include Phil Longo and the air raid concept. which I think he's on the clock right now. There's no way to say he's not. Longo is on the clock. This offense is on the clock, and he's got to do with Braden Locke and maybe with Mabry Metoyer or Cole Crew. We'll see how this goes. This season could become a laboratory because Luke Fickle's plan is not a 2-year plan. Luke Fickle's plan is a multi-year plan. And if being better in 2025 at the expense of some stuff that happens in 2024 is the way forward, he will take it. I'm not saying he wants to lose. He's a competitive guy. He wants to win games. But if there are things he can do this year that can make the 2025 team better, and that schedule gets worse next year, it's just seeing teams like Minnesota and Iowa and Nebraska just skate by with schedules. I mean, we're paying for 2026, 2016, 2017 when we had cake schedules on the crossovers. It's just the way it is. But this is a plan. Let's let them cook. We'll see what happens. But do not forget, 75% of the season is left. The season is not over. Support your guys. Don't lash out at people and players on socials. But remember, this is where we are. This is where we are. We're not Alabama. We're not. We're not close. We were never going to be close this season. It's sad, but true. So it wasn't shocking yesterday. Anyway, I could go on forever. I want this to be a skull session, which tend to be under 12 minutes. So leave me comments. I know there'll be some nice ones and some mean ones. I can take it. I'm a grown man. But have a good Sunday, and maybe the Packers can get a win today. Who knows? Scary Alvarez.